Hi, my name is Vesna Karapetrova and we're here today at the Canadian Macedonian Historical Society on February the 22nd, 2016 to interview Mr. Done Katsorov for the Canadian Macedonian Historical Society. Welcome, Danny, and we thank you for coming here at the Canadian Macedonian Historical Society to share your life story with us. We know that your name is Done Katsorov. Many Macedonians know you. And I know that in Cambridge you're affectionately known as Danny the Barber. So we really appreciate you coming here and sharing your story with us.
I thank you very much for the honor to Macedonian Historical Society and all of you who took the time to be here to interview me. And my story begins 1956.
Yes, tell us when you were born and where, Danny.
Oh yes, well, I'll do that. I was born on March 3, 1936 in Sorovich, Macedonia. It's my hometown.
And Danny, tell us, who are your parents?
My parents is Goce, his name Goce Katsorov, and Fana Katsorov. Yes.
And where were they born and approximately when?
Born in Sorovich, well, I'm 80 now. You go beyond 36, figure out they're not there. They don't have the exact number.
Okay.
I know they're born before me, except one sister after me.
Yes, and tell us about your siblings.
The younger sister, she now lives in Brantford.
And her name?
Basa.
Okay.
Vesa, yeah.
Vesa,
Yeah.
And you have two other sisters?
Two sisters, one is Agapi, Luba, they call it in Macedonia, and the other one is Elena, yes.
And you have one brother?
And brother, name is Tasha.
Okay. And Danny, where were your grandparents born?
Born to Sorovich, yeah.
So they were born in
Yes,
Sorovich
yes,
as well.
yes.
And how about your aunts and uncles?
I have many uncles in they born in Macedonia, but some uncles are not there now because they were expelled in 1936 because they didn't compel to the Greek policies to change the names.
And they were all born in Sorovich?
Yes, yes.
And what language did you speak?
Macedonian.
Macedonian.
Yeah.
Danny, you were quite a young man when you came to Canada, and you spent most of your life in your village, Sorovich.
Correct.
You grew up there, and tell us a little about your childhood and your education.
Yes, I born in that time, as I told you, 1936, and I went to school about a little bit late because the occupation of the German at that time when the war started. And I went there for 5 years to Macedonia, to Greek school.
Now you mentioned the German occupation that was
during the Second World War.
During the Second World War.
Yes.
Yes.
And the schools were suspended for a while.
Schools were suspended. And how old were you about then?
I was, I recall, about 5 to 6 years anyway.
You were quite young. Do you have any memories of the war?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
You can share that
I remember
with us,
the German soldiers with their uniforms, and there's the Italian soldiers, and it was not too far from my village. Was a family was staying there because they had bigger homes, and yes, I remember.
Because they were staying in homes?
Yeah, not their homes because they didn't have enough room for others, for officers. Mainly was for officers. Yes.
So the officers took over some homes to
Correct.
stay.
Yes.
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 And do you remember any memories of them coming to Sorovich?
I remember of course they were there, stationed not too far from our home.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And any activities that you remember as a child?
There were always some parades. They were going marching on exercises with the practicing. Yes.
Okay. And then as you grew up in Sorovich, you were there with your parents,
Yes.
correct? And at that time, it was really the years of the Greek policies that were especially aimed to assimilate the Macedonians,
Correct, yes.
and the language was forbidden.
Yes.
And there were many policies that were made especially to oppress the
yes.
culture, the Macedonian culture.
Very correct.
and
One of my uncles been fined because he couldn't say the word at that time. and they penalized him with a penalty.
Because he couldn't speak
Yeah.
Greek?
But he was also quite a humorous. He had a little bit money, extra money, I suppose. Then he went to be fined, and he gave him extra money. He said, "Get the change back." No, it shall be back. Yes, that was most ridiculous.
Right,
Yeah.
so he got fined because he was
Yes,
speaking
correct,
in
yes.
Macedonian.
And
Right.
some of them even they are forced, I did see with my own eyes, they are forced to give them castor oil to teach them a
Katsorov.
lesson not to.
Tell us about that. Was that in school when you went to school?
That was, of course, I was still going to school, but for my relatives and older Macedonians there, we hear the stories from them.
So would this be in the prison where they were given the
Some of them,
castor oil?
it's my mother's brother was in the prison, and one is my father's cousin too. And my father's also sister, she was expelled to Bulgaria for that reason,
Why was that?
because they didn't agree to live in according to the Greek policies.
That was your aunt?
My father's sister, my aunt, yes.
Do you know what happened? What was
Well,
that?
they just let them go to the border and they gone to Bulgaria.
Do you know what she did? Did she do anything that made
No,
them...
they just simply don't allow them to speak the language, to compel to Greek laws, whatever it is reason, they must have a reason. They didn't go because their own will.
So they left.
They left.
But they
well, I
left
would say left,
because-
not willingly. Not willingly. They
Not
didn't
willingly. They
no,
didn't
no,
leave
no.
willingly.
They took them by the border and they said, you go.
So they basically expelled them.
Yes, correct, yeah.
Okay, and Danny, tell us about some of your memories in school. You mentioned that you didn't go to school for quite a while because
Yes,
of the German occupation.
school was very interesting. When I went to go to school, and we speak, of course, Greek, so I had to learn the Greek language.
How did you learn it?
When you're young, you have to learn, you don't know any better.
Right,
You do what you're told.
yes.
And then, when you go home, we speak with our mother, the Macedonian language. And my mother, up to the time she died, she very few words she knew how to say in Greek. However, when speaking of that, then we speak outside, before we go home, we speak our Macedonian language. And we go outside to play, everybody has to compel. So I did.
So you had to speak
Yeah,
Greek
yes,
when you played
correct.
with your friends outside.
Yes, correct, yes.
What would happen if they heard you speaking
In matter of
Macedonian?
fact, they are, now that you remind me this, they were actually divided into the upper and down the village.
Yes,
And the ones there on the upper side, they were speaking more because they were from refugees from Asia, then being also the Greeks.
From Asia, yes.
Exchange of population.
the
Yeah,
Greeks got
they were
the
speaking.
exchange
We
with
used
the
to call them. We
Turkish
used to call them Magiri.
Majiri.
Yeah.
So they spoke Greek, right?
Oh yeah, first, that's right. Yes.
But in the lower village there were,
Yeah, mostly Macedonians. Yes.
and
But they were speaking, but they still had to go according to the law. They were subjected to the Greek rules. Yes.
okay. And how about in school, Danny? Do you remember any situations in school where you felt that, you were...
No, actually, personally, I never feel anything except I just knew what to do when I got there.
So you didn't speak in,
No, we
in
didn't think
Macedonia
of
in
putting
school?
yes.
Because you knew you couldn't?
No, because it was probably, I don't know, I never tried that there. Never tried that area. Yes.
Okay. And then, Danny, as you grew up in school,
Yes.
when did you, how did your school continue? When,
Well, actually, continue, I had to interrupt for 1 year. That time was 49, I think, close to the beginning. And then the refugees, children, and they were also moved from villages, and they go to the south by Solon, there was that names. Thessalonica was in Greek.
yes.
And we stayed there in a refugee camp for a while, but before it was 3 months, I had to escape from there. And I came back to my village and I finished my public school.
So who took you to the refugee
Well, the
camp?
Greeks wanted to move from because the zone was dangerous zone for the children. The
Yes.
zone, yes, the war.
Because the war was going
Yeah,
on?
because I call them patriots, but I call them Andarti. I mean, it's rebels, whatever.
Yes. So you were taken, all the children from your village were taken to a refugee camp in Solun.
Yes, correct. It's a Saloniki, yes.
Yeah, and where were your parents?
Parents left home. My father at that time actually was not very well ill, so yes, we went, yes.
And
My parents stayed home. My brother stayed older, and then my sister, he was much younger, she didn't come, so I went, yes.
How long were you in the refugee camp?
Well, I left there, like I said, about 4 months at least. I stayed there because I escaped, I told you.
In 1949?
Yes, yes.
Yes, that was when there was a lot of
Yes.
yes. War with the Civil War,
Correct,
right?
yes.
So you said you escaped. Was there
That's
any
correct.
reason for that? What was life like in the refugee camp?
The reason I didn't like it, what I see, and I just wanted to go. So I did.
What did you see?
Well, actually, that's not that one. What was appointed was now in supper time, they give us something, food to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And then I refused eggplant, which is now allow eggplants. Then I didn't want to. But then, what's happening, they had appointed me already to be a leader of a 10-minute group of 10. And then he says, you don't need it, I'm not going to give you dessert. And I says, okay. He says, if you don't, I'll demote you. I says, okay. And then he demoted me, then I was taking orders before I was given orders.
Mm-hmm.
And that time I made my mind and it's gone.
And in the refugee camp, what language did you speak?
Of course, Greek, obvious, that's a foregone conclusion.
Only Greek. But most of the kids were
Of
Macedonian?
course, yes, correct.
Did
yes.
you speak any Macedonian among yourself?
No, by myself, I don't speak for myself. I can find anybody in my village. They were split us all over.
Okay, so they were from all other villages.
Yes,
and you knew not to speak Greek.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then, Danny, when you went back to your village?
That was another interesting story. Once I decided to escape, I was quite a bit risky, and 2 more guys wanted to join me. And then I says, okay, when you see me move in the supper time, before the supper finish, the next people come in, and I just, in the middle of supper, I escaped quietly from one sit to different areas. And then when they saw me moving, then prior to that, I already prepared a step ladder, and I put it by the tree, pretending we play with the children. And it gets a little darker, and then I take the step ladder, went to, on the roof, there was a building there, was first aid, people, something get hurt, people get stitched. And then I climb there and look down, it was a tree, good thing, and after the tree I went up in the street, and the street ended up staying in somebody's yard. And then morning get up, that's a long story, I'll tell you.
So were the other boys following you as
yes,
you were
correct,
climbing
yes.
up
Yeah,
the tree
no,
and
of
up
course,
the house?
one by one, all of us we escaped.
So all of you escaped
Yes,
at
yes.
the right time, and then you were in somebody's house, and what happened?
And because there's a book coming, better to because it's going to be a long time before I start. So escape from there in the morning, and I took a bus to ask the bus driver what is the gate, because you can only exit from a certain spots, east and west and south. Anyway, so then I asked him what I knew, my direction basically, and he says okay, and turn around the bus, he's going back, and I sense it. I said, this guy's going to turn us back, and the bus was moving, we jumped.
You jumped from the bus because
Yes.
you figured out he was going to take you back to the refugee
We
camp.
jumped, and good thing it didn't fall. And then finally we find the gate. From the gate went up, there was a Marshall Plan trucks that deliver food. And then I approached one driver, and again I escaped from there. Like I said, I'm making a shortcut off a lot of things. And then he takes us, then he dropped us to halfway. And I said, no, I says, my village is over there. And I says, no. So anyway, I cried a little bit, and then we took me right to Kozheny, they call it in Greek, Kozani. And from there, in the morning, then actually one guy says, you need a newspaper. Then I went up to pick up a newspaper. By the time I come back, my other 2 friends left with another truck. Then again, I stay overnight in the truck, cold, I remember. And he said, don't worry about it. And so he took me to the center where the military trucks are getting together. And I asked one soldier to take me. But meantime, we wear special clothes, like you can be recognized, and not the other children. And I asked the guy, he says, I asked the officer, so he says, no. He says, and the soldier was kind enough. He says, when the truck starts moving, the motion, the moving says, he gave me a signal to jump, and I did. Then I went, as he moved on, I jumped in.
You jumped off the truck.
And went right in the truck. And then before I got to the village, about maybe 500 feet or so, I had to jump out because the truck had to go to the checkpoint. And if they see me there, they'd be in trouble. I jumped out, then I went through the wire fences, yeah. Mm-hmm. But they were all mines there. Until that I know, I found out later.
There were mines.
Yeah, the good thing I survived. And I went back home all scratched, like a prodigal son, so to speak. Mm-hmm. My mother cried, I cried. And then now September comes, I finished my school at the grade 6. And then what to do or not to do, I wanted to look elsewhere for jobs, any job to survive, because by that time my father died. And then went to fence for herself. And my mother suggested before that, it's interesting, from part of my life, I went to go to the military camps, ask for food, sometimes you go to other people's farms. I didn't steal, except I feed myself. I said to my friend, the ambassador, sitting there, he says, I don't call it stealing, I call it survival. I ate and this. And then came the situation, my mother says, to send me to Barber for an apprentice, just to keep me to learn the barbering.
To learn a trade, to become a barber. That was your mother's suggestion?
Yes, that's my mother's suggestion. But little that I know, then I learned after the trade about 9 months later a little bit, because then I wanted to escape again from my village. I knew it was too small to contain me. Mm-hmm. And my mother worried about it. I says, okay, don't worry.
So when you were in the village, you were apprenticing with another barber?
Yes.
Was that the only barber in your village?
No, actually it was about 3.
Oh, okay.
But, happened to be my brother-in-law, by the way.
So he was Macedonian as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then let's just go back a little bit. When did your father die? You mentioned that he died, how old were you?
I was, 14,
so
12, yeah.
That's right, your father died when you were 14.
Yes.
So after you continued to apprentice with your brother-in-law for a few months, and then you decided that you wanted to
Yes, I wanted to, yes, correct. Well, this time, like I said, my brother-in-law, he persuaded me to go back again, and he started to pay me some money.
Back where?
Back when was my village. Back to the barber shop.
Oh, so you left the village for some time?
No, I didn't live yet.
Okay.
I'm about to leave the village.
You were about to leave.
But my brother changed my mind by began to willing to pay me, so I stayed. But this time my brother was drafted to the army, and also during the time we had piece of property from grandfather, and my brother he was able to put things together and open barbershop when I was 16.
When you were 16?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. So you were quite young when you opened up your barbershop.
Yes.
Tell us how your business went.
Well, surprising. I was well received, and we actually didn't have to worry about going taking a bread from my army. So we survived well.
So you supported your family.
That's correct. Yes, enough.
Your mother and
my
your
one sister
and one sister.
Yes. Because my brother is already in the army.
And then how did your career develop?
It developed well. It developed, my career was going well, and then one time when I was about 17, I was invited to a wedding, and I see with my friend and my now wife, and the only wife, thank God. And then I said to myself, I'd like to give to be my wife. And I pursued her for 1 year, basically.
While she was still in your village?
Sorovich.
She was in Sorovich, yes?
Sorovich. No, Cerov se veli to be.
Cerovo, so Cerov. She was from a neighboring village?
Yeah, I think yes, right.
Okay.
And then from there on, she agreed to meet me, and the rest, it's a history, you might say.
Can you tell us your name, the name of your wife?
Sure, definitely, my honor. Her name is Nikki, and then Nikki, about shortly after here changed to immigrate to Canada.
What's
here.
her full name, Nikki?
Nikki Papayoano. Papayoano.
Uh-huh.
And
in Macedonian it was...
Yes, it was Serbia, yeah. And from then she came here. 6 months later, 6 months later, I came here.
Okay, and you were still in your village?
Well, yes, correct, yeah.
Okay, so that's basically how you ended up coming to Canada.
Well, I took some changes too.
Yes.
I took some changes too. Because if I were to apply according to the rules that they're expecting from me,
yes,
I'll probably never be here.
Tell us
so
about
I bypassed,
that.
yes, I'm going to say that. I bypassed that, so I went to manage it to, I call it miracles for my life, things like that. Including here, to be here for me to talk to you. I never dreamed.
It's our pleasure.
However, so anyway, then we managed to get the passport overnight, so to speak. And I applied, I got all the papers. I said farewell to my friends, my family. And I went to the office, the Canadian Council.
In Athens?
Yes.
The Canadian Council?
And I presented my application, but there was a date that was not right. I put the date in my pocket, and I gave all the documents, but not the date to appear. That was too late for me then. So then she says, what's all you got? So I pretended like this. I gave it to her. She threw it on my face, and I went out to my brother and my friend. I cried there, and I remember very well as in open a cafe in Athens, nice. And well, somebody heard the story, and I was surprised. I was in my tears, and he says, "I'd like to help you." I never see the man, and I'd like to help you. He says, "But I'm going tomorrow. I'm leaving for Brussels." And the next thing you know, I went next day, and the same lady, she threw the papers on my face. The same lady, she welcomed me, and she made some changes to the papers. And then I went to the doctor, they passed up that one. Then what happened? Then, of course, I also was in, what do you call that, military court. And that was for one case, because also they appointed me to be in my post as not really a soldier, but by the law you are a soldier. I found out later.
Yes, how old were you at this time?
I was about 18 by this time.
18?
Yeah. So from there, we went up to see I said to one of the officers, was my customer. And I says, can I go see my girlfriend? He says, okay. But he didn't replace post in my position. So he left, emptied the post, and somebody checked it. So then I was charged with military court.
Escaping from the army.
Yeah, that's right. And we went there, and then I said to the guy, this is the truth in the court. And somehow, apparently, a little bit change, I found out when I was in jail, and I was being a barber. That helped me well too, because I was close to the officers, I was getting better food.
So this is when you were in Athens?
No, that is in the Kozani. It's Kozani, so Kozani.
Kozani. So this is before you went.
Yes, what I said.
You wanted to come to
yes,
Canada.
Before I was a little bit too quick when I said to Nikki. Yes, after that, when I was charged, then went to that.
So you were charged.
I think best to get the book. Trust me.
Okay, well, we're going to look forward to your book, and we actually have the author of the book here too, and she's going to tell us a little more about it later. That would be great. Yes. So basically, you had quite a setback because you were in.
Yes, correct.
You were you had to be in the army.
Yes, but I managed to escape because I managed to get the papers in time. So by Greek law, I am charged with a drafter, whatever you call it. When you don't appear in the soldier, they call some kind of charge there.
Yes.
You know, so that's it. The matter.
So,
I'm here now.
But you escaped the jail.
Yeah, no, not the jail.
The army.
The army, I escaped because I managed to leave. I escaped, in other words, under the table, you may call it.
Yes. And how long were you in the army?
No, I didn't go to the army. Remember, I didn't make it in the army. About to be drafted.
You were about to be drafted from your village.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
And then you.
Yes. When they are disposed, they call it paramilitary, they call it?
Yeah, paramilitary.
Well, yeah, paramilitary was charged in that position because I didn't, the officer gave me the permission, he did not replace my post. That was the story. And then from there, I was charged. Then back to Athens, when I told you. And they asked me if I had any pressure with the law.
They asked you if you had problems with the law, yes?
And I give them a little story there too, so I survived that one.
So you tried to tell the truth?
No, I didn't tell the truth, I didn't lie either.
Okay, you were very diplomatic.
Well, survival.
Yes, you tried to survive. And then?
Then I got the stamp, and the ambassador, remember, tall guy just like you, my friend, tall guy stood up. He says to the secretary there, I said, can I shake his hands? Can I say bye by shaking his hands? He said, okay, the Canucks stood up, shook my hand. And then if you want to know more about, I told you, read the book. The plane I was supposed to take didn't make it.
Yes,
I missed a plane.
How did you miss your plane? Tell us about that, because that was quite miraculous.
I'm a nosy guy. I look here, look here.
So you were going to take the plane, but how did you miss it?
I missed it because late. I didn't go on the time to go to the airport.
You were late for the airport,
That's
and
correct.
you missed your flight.
Right, missed my flight.
And you found out that plane crashed.
Yes, right.
And everybody died.
I didn't ask anymore. I know my mate didn't plane it. That's what I was told.
That's quite a story. And then how did your own trip go afterwards?
My own trip went fine till I arrived in Canada, and the rest is born again.
Now, when you came to Canada, Danny, so you came with a flight, with a plane from Athens, correct?
Yes.
And then where did you land in Canada?
We're in Newfoundland, in Gander Airport.
Okay, and this was in 1956. 56,
yes,
okay. And was your wife...
December 3.
Was anybody waiting for you there, or how did you come to
No,
Toronto?
actually, nobody's waiting for me. I was then I take the taxi from Toronto Airport. I went...
How did you get to Toronto Airport?
Well, I had the address of my wife where she lives now,
Yes.
And then the taxi took us there.
Right, so you came with another plane from Gander to
No.
Toronto?
Oh, yes, that's right, yes.
Yes, and then you landed in Toronto, and when you came to Toronto, you took a taxi and went straight to the house where your wife lived.
Very well, yes.
And what was that reception like?
Wow, that is again another story. It's hard to explain in the words. What I saw, how you feel, only in my heart knows, but very joyful, liberated, free, whatever you call it, you name it. You find a word, I'll fit it into it.
And then how did you speak together? What language did you speak?
From Macedonian.
Only Macedonian, right. And then tell us about how your life developed in Canada.
Oh, very well.
Who did you stay with? And
yes, of course. For a few days I was staying with my brother-in-law and came in the fort. But 16 we got married. And we stayed there together with my sister-in-law. And eventually I got a job, and eventually managed to save a little money. And if you want to know how I got the job, another story.
Yes, we'll come to that in just a minute. Now, Danny, you told us that your wife sponsored you to come to Canada.
That's right, correct.
So did you get married there, or did you get
married? No, married in Hamilton.
So you got married afterwards, but she was able to sponsor you?
That's correct.
Okay,
yes.
And then when you came here, when your wife came here before you, when did she come here?
She came in July.
So the same year? And you came in?
December.
December, okay. And why did your wife come here? What was her journey like?
Very good question, but you probably heard it many times. For better life, the freedom, mostly freedom.
Did she come by herself, or
she came by herself? She sponsored, yes, by herself, correct. Yes.
Who sponsored her?
Her brother.
He lived here,
Yes,
so she came as a young girl?
Well, she was the same age as me, basically, yeah.
17, 18?
No, 18, yeah.
18.
Oh, actually, in 56, was 20.
By then she was 20. Okay, you're both the same year? You're both born?
4 months apart.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, so now we can start talking about your life in Canada. You got married to your wife?
Yes.
Did you have a wedding? Tell us about that.
A very special wedding. In my heart, always it's the same. We went to the church.
Which church was this?
It was a Greek church, Greek Orthodox church. And then from
Where
there,
was in Hamilton?
in Hamilton, yes. Then he went to one of uncles, invited us to his home, and the relatives. That was the wedding. It's all the counts in the heart. Anyway, well received, well welcomed. And the next day, I went to wash dishes.
In a restaurant? You worked in a
Yeah,
restaurant?
that's right. Yeah, next day. That's my honeymoon.
That was your honeymoon.
How many people have honeymoon like this? I bet you won't find any.
No.
So one with a
Was
few.
your wife there washing dishes with you?
No, actually, she was at a already factory job.
She worked already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then how did your life in Hamilton develop?
Well, how would the life develop? One night, shortly after, I said, a new country, new job. And I tried to get a new job, like every big building I saw. I knock on the doors, look for a job. Only some people help me how to say for job, me look a job, whatever. And no job, no hire. Any chimney, I saw tile factories all over. And at that point, it was very tough to working. And then I got lost in between the Fosco and Steel Company in the yard and district area. And actually went back and find my way out and actually cry at that time. I said, what I'm doing is this. I didn't have much home, but I didn't have this, what I'm now.
You were
Yeah.
you were
Yeah, I was a little bit depressed, you may call
because
it.
there was no job.
No jobs, and plus I cried there, and my wife, she hardly make any money at that time. We survived, but much better not in stealing. Let's put it this way. So anyway, finally, I look all over, then I had been a barber. I always carry picture with my, with cutting my cousin's hair. And I went to his barber in Hamilton. And I showed him the picture, so I cut his hair. And he says, okay, then again, another miracle, I tell you. So never seen the guy before, sit in a chair. And I took the chair like a zombie, put a cloth on it, started, looked like a medium. I work on the job, and one more customer. I did the same thing, silent, looked like, and the guy wanted to give me the money, and I said, no. So he insisted, he gave me a little note, he says, okay, you want to see me? So I went there, and he says, okay, he says, I'd like to help this boy, but I have no job for two people, but I'd like to help him. I says, okay, what money he wants? I said, man, give me a job for him. When you work, you don't look for the money first. Do your effort, your reward, somehow you're gonna come. Either in a loaf of bread, or even dollar, or whatever it is, even good word. It might be instrumental to that man to give you a job elsewhere, which is exactly what happened. So a few weeks later, actually shortly that, he took me supper for his home. And he says, I said, okay, for my wife. I said, where are you going? I don't know. I says, he's out for supper. So anyway, from there he took me to the Barber Union. I remember kicks in the Hamilton East. And a bunch of other guys there introduced me. I was the first Macedonian guy in Hamilton as a barber. So the word got around. So about shortly after that, he took me to East End, Kenworth Avenue, they call it, in Barton. The shop was in Barton Street. So the fate unfolds. I was there for a short time, and then he decided to get married, and he gave me the key to run the shop. Another guy, he was older, he appointed me. Same like in the refugee camp, he appointed me leader. I don't know. But anyway, so I did that part.
They saw your leadership qualities.
I don't know. I don't know that. They did probably. All I know is, I says, okay. Then I started try to learn English, but a book, here, there. So he took the book away from me, and he was quite a talker like me, or I was learning from him. And he says to me, goes like this stuff. So I picked her up, and then I get a little note. He says, I'm too slow working as a barber, old country style. And okay, then I get another note, you're too fast. Oh no. So he didn't hire me, he didn't fire me. So anyway, I went there, got me straightened out, and he said, you take one, I take one. I said, good. And then 8 months later, I had an opportunity to buy a shop.
That same shop?
Yeah. No.
Another one?
It's, no. Anyway, I didn't have any money, as you can see now coming. So I said yes. First thing I say yes. I got nothing to lose till I find out. So didn't work that part. That's a little bit, I'll make it short for you. Second part, the guy says, oh, you're a good barber. I says, I go like this. And then, you want to work here? I said, okay. But no call yet, but he was more busy. And I watched him that. And then after I said, you want to buy a barber shop? I said, okay. So I end up in a lawyer. But prior to that, I said, well, God help me have another chance. I'll never say nothing to nobody. So I did that. And then I went up. And I had $20 actually. I thought it was 40. And then I gave to the lawyer that put the papers. I said, give me the key, man, I sign anything you want. Give me the key to go in the shop. Anyway, so I got the paper, but you didn't buy. You have to pay rent, I'm responsible for this. I signed all the papers. And I paid them the guy so quickly. And beside that, shortly, and I said, if I'm able, God help me to replace my wife's wages. We made about $25 a week. And I was making the same, so replaced. So shortly after that, I got again the new blessing. I said I want to have children, and sure enough, I was making 3 times as much. In short time, bought a house. Before the first child born, 1959, we live in a new home.
So this is in Hamilton.
Hamilton, yeah.
So by this time, you had your shop for a few years.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And you tell us a little bit about your work. Do you like what you do?
I love what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Not as much my wife, okay?
Okay.
So you know.
So in Hamilton then, you continued to be, to work as a barber in your own shop. And then at this time, were you, did you get to know were there any other Macedonians in the community? How was your involvement?
Well, let me tell you something before that. In Hamilton, when I had a barbershop, I had done very well, but yes, one time then I closed the barbershop. And because I was looking for, I thought the grass is green to the other side. So I sold the barbershop. I went, sold barbers and beauty supplies. Was also a good experience. I am thankful to God for that, because it enriched my consciousness, richness and beauty of Canada. I saw quite a bit Ontario, not all Canada.
So you traveled a bit, yeah.
No, up to actually, it goes as far as Bracebridge, north, and Belleville, and up quite an area I could travel. It was, and I was one day I stopped into Cambridge to do my supplies, and he says, I'm looking for a barber. I says, I'm a barber. I can give you part-time. Then I did a few days there. I'm a free spirit, so to speak. And then I left him. He says, and next to the call for myself, says, you ever thought about settling down? I said, why? Why I wanted to retire? So one thing to another, I bought the shop. And then from there on, finally I said, wow, I'm back home. Because I reflected, I visited at that time, 1957. Galt used to name by name Galt. And I had this feeling to like to be there.
Where was that?
In 1957 was Galt, the name. It's Cambridge now.
Cambridge is now, but it was called Galt.
Yes.
Yes?
The beauty was this, so I realized I'm back where I wanted to be. And then from there on, and then I noticed it at the first event was. I liked it very much, and there you are.
And in Cambridge, so what year was it when you first...
1980.
That's when you first bought your shop?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, and now in Cambridge, you're affectionately known as Danny the Barber, and I imagine that many people know you, and they know you because of all your voluntary work and all of your contribution to the community. What kind of contribution have you been involved in?
Wow, that's I don't see. I didn't see that as much of a contribution as I see. If you see as a need, especially in the community you live, you need to be aware, if it's possible, not everybody. For me, I became aware when the issue became for the hospital. So then I thought, well, and a food bank also. So then I began to do my small way. I provide the haircuts for the day, and all proceeds go to the food banks. So they're all good charities, as long as you're willing to help somebody. So I don't have any particular specialty. My two favors, it was a food bank and hospitals, but they're all good. They're all good. I'm in interest. If I see a need, I felt compelled to help. That's, I don't know what to say.
Yes, and you've helped many different kinds of charity events. And we have a really nice picture of you here from the newspapers. There are many newspapers articles that you've written, that people have written about you. This one says, "Living his dream. He remembers his homeland, but loves his adopted country." And I see there's also a nice picture of you and your wife when you were when you first met.
Yes.
And in your barber shop, Danny, tell us about what kind of fundraising you do.
Well, like I said, for instance, now it's coming one in March 5th. I'll raise money for the food bank.
Yes.
All proceeds to go there. I mean, it's like more than, let's put it this way, more than a one. I mean, I don't want to name them all because I don't know how to name them all.
Yes, and right here we also have a picture of you and somebody from the Cambridge Hospital, Memorial Hospital.
Correct.
And the person is congratulating you for your donation. There's a big check there.
Yes.
Yes, and now we see lots of, in your barber shop, Danny, there are lots and lots of pictures.
Yes.
Of you and the different people and causes that you've contributed to.
Yes.
You've also, along the way, have been involved with the Macedonian community in Cambridge.
Yes.
And have taken a very big part in organizing for the Macedonian Orthodox Church in Cambridge.
Yes.
Can you tell us how that initiative came about and when?
My honor and my pleasure. And yes, that beyond first there I saw quite a few Macedonian people in Cambridge, and it took me actually about quite a time. Every Macedonian I talked to, I raised the issue about our cause and always interested in the books. I had many books, so I did my homework in that sense. So I was able to say a few words. And then came to a point was that they're always interested. They're always interested, but somehow it didn't get them together. So at one time I figured out enough is enough. So I happened to be a fellow by name Danny Bitovsky. He got a job in for health department in Cambridge, and never seen him before. We talk about there, and he says, "You're Macedonian?" "Yeah." I said, "I need you." And that's the way it started. He said, "Okay." Then he was very receptive. And then a few other guys, even in Macedonia, across from me, was a factory, textile, and I raised a Macedonian flag with first time in history in Cambridge, in the building, right in the factory. Mm-hmm. And the guy knew the guy. He was getting a haircut from me, so he did me a favor. So he did that. And then the word got around in Hamilton. So I passed it on to get together. So they came along, and another guy came along, and I says, okay, this and that happened. And then I says, George Branov, I remember clear, and Coach Barakovsky, he was the one, and then Vitovsky, and Bill Yankov. And of course, I have different plans. I have a plan to appoint somebody to elect him as a president who was from my village, Patel, let's call it, because there were more of them in that area. So, but the last moment he backed off. So Bill Yankov was in a barber shop, and three of us, and I says, they didn't show up. I said, now, then I said, to appoint George Branov as a president, and George Branov looked at me, and he says, you're vice president and secretary. And then thanks to the actually Toronto leadership, they show interest in us. We had an interview, I remember clearly, by Peter Genevsky, interview on the TV, and they want to know all about us. And then we told them the story, said now that this is a new we put a press release, going to be inaugural meeting, and so forth. So began to, in letters to the editors, I've written it about our cause. So I made it slowly, and then what happened from there, and then Peter Genevsky says, now that you formed this, why? While here says, when your country, like a brother, sister, to help each other, to be aware of each other's needs. And then what else? And lo and behold, don't ask me how, I said Macedonian church. I became a laughing stock. 3 people can build a church. Here you are. There you are. I told the rest is story.
So basically, with these few people, you decided to build a church. And
then, of course, when I got a meeting, we called, more people show up, and that's what started. Meant to be.
Yes, and you actually have a church since 19.
Over 20 years now. Now you got me going to go back.
Yes.
Yeah, over 20 years.
It's more than 20 years.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And you have a beautiful church. I've actually seen it.
Yes.
And so, in terms of funding, how did you raise your funds for the
Well,
church?
we made aware to donate for the good cause. The people respond again. The radio made it. The TV people made the publicity, and so forth. We're going a dance. Mm-hmm. We had with a dance performed together. Mm-hmm. No, everybody of you actually, it wasn't for Toronto Macedonians.
Community.
Not going to probably happen. And Hamilton, of course, too.
Lots of
They've
support.
been instrument because we're a handful. So I believe in miracles. Meant to be, that's all.
Okay.
I don't take no credit.
And now we have the church is now working very well. It's being visited, and lots of people come there.
Yes.
And also you have you've been busy with other activities for the Macedonian community.
Yes.
Tell us about the radio show that you had.
Well, that's interesting. That's quite a story itself. Yes, I applied for the radio program, but it took me a little time because I've been scrutinized. It came to a point. I've been suspected to be communist, suspected many different things. And I kind of laughed because at that age, communism, when I was alive, I was a teenager, probably 15. Mm-hmm. No more, probably 16. I don't think so. Yeah, probably 15. Anyway, so that's a kind of little bit humor for me. And that was a fun part. And I said, what do we do now? So we began to help each other more and more become aware. That's all. It don't take so long.
So you had was it a weekly show?
Well, of course, yes, once a week, yeah.
And what did you discuss on the show? What was the format?
Well, first of all, I was getting information about Macedonian. Then I recite through the radio. I had my own ideas and comments I was making. And people I call interview. I remember Sarknias, father, older ladies. They come up, older men show up. And yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And what year did you, Danny? What year did you open up your barber shop?
A barber shop in Hamilton, 1958. In Cambridge, 1980.
1980, right. And at the present time, approximately how many people would you say live in Cambridge? How many Macedonians?
Macedonians. I would say at least 100 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so you managed to get all the Macedonians together and have a church, a Macedonian church. You had a Macedonian radio.
It was not me. It's that there was opportunity. Someone had to bring awareness. They had this in the heart. That was not me, because if they didn't have it in the heart, they're not going to follow.
Right, but you helped to organize and
be an instrument. Maybe I've been influenced by somebody else. Maybe I've been influenced by my mother, my father. Who knows?
Yes, I think you're very modest.
We'll have a link together.
Yes.
So
now the library, the Macedonian library in Cambridge,
yes,
is right in your barbershop, correct?
Right.
So that you must have worked really hard to make happen.
Well, yeah, that's another story. Yes.
Yes, tell us about that.
Well, first of all, it was interesting for our people to know more about. Mm-hmm. I've been brought in other places to get the war and become aware of it. Mm-hmm. And they also guide me to go to the libraries and to pick up. But the question is about the most is fervent or spark for Macedonian cause. Identity is this, is the Bible. Because everybody said what they want to say it. And then when I read the Bible, started reading the Bible in early times, and then I saw there, Apostle Paul talks about clearly identities chart in the Bible. And then it's never still feel it now. And because before that, if somebody asks me who I am, depends where I find myself, situation, I say Greek Macedonia, me. But you always kind of this fear behind to come forward. After that, that's what I did in the program. I did a program with that. They questioned me identity. I said, listen, I'm not Serbian, I'm not Bulgarian, I'm not Greek, I'm Macedonian. It's any problem. So I got the station. I figured that's the last one. And then same thing with my any stand. So I said to the Greek people I associate, and I still do, they say, always, they don't recognize anything but their own writings. I said, leave your own writers, historians. You say you're Greek, I'm Orthodox. Let's open the Bible. They want to talk about, they don't talk about. You know what I tell them? I say, either you don't understand, or Apostle Paul was wrong. Respectfully, I use the word. He was wrong then. So when you say to them, just like they're losing it. They don't have the heart, being so brainwashed. They think they're right. That's all I know. That was a spark. Because for then, I couldn't leave myself being a hypocrite. Because I couldn't say I'm a Greek Macedonian or I'm Greek. So that was the key, the cornerstone for my identity, search for identity, is the Bible from there on. Mm-hmm. So then, what happened? If you don't live what you are, you become a hypocrite. So I don't criticize nobody. They are what they are to be. I'm talking, judging myself in the mirror. So then I say, what? In the dialogue. Why God bring me this free country? To be me. And for me to be me, free to be me. So from there on, what about the Book of Life? They call themselves Christians. The Book of Life. You see that happen? Oh, then why you all doom and gloom here? Okay, back here where you grow up is one thing. What about here in Canada? And from then on, I just didn't fear. That's all. Fear is gone.
Mm-hmm. And when you came to Canada and to Cambridge, you really publicized the Macedonian cause and
yes.
With your Macedonian community in
yes.
Cambridge.
Yes.
Now, September the 29th was a very special day.
Yes.
That's when Canada recognized
That's
Macedonia, correct?
Yes.
And there's a nice picture there with the, you had a party at your shop,
That's
right?
correct.
Tell us about that.
Well, very simple. Just put that advertised in the paper. Welcome, celebration of Canada recognized Macedonian and that enjoying in the spirit of unity. I do the same thing for Canada Day. Mm-hmm. For Canada Day, I throw a party, wine and cheese party.
At your barber shop.
Yes.
And here there's a nice picture of you and our past Premier Harper, Prime Minister Harper. Can you tell us when that was taken and how it came about?
My surprise was I had a phone call and then it says, okay, I'll be there. And then when one of my city councils said, now we're good friends now. And we went up a little bit late, and in the front line was all the seats is kind of empty, nobody there. And being a different situation, I said, Ben, he's our city council, right? I didn't know I'm going to sit first. I said, you better sit first. But if somebody asks us to move, I said, you better stand up first. I follow, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like meant to be again my expression. So the Prime Minister comes along, he goes all the way this way. He shakes hands, he goes back to the podium, and then he gives us a speech. And then, of course, I was good terms with MP, I should say. And then I says, I hop in and says, any chance for a photo op? He says, the line was big, man. And I says, okay. Then I stood up as I'm sitting in this podium talking to him. I look this way, and the line's big. I said, that's not going to work. So the line is going this way, and then the precision. And it goes like this, the security, and then just bump in between. And then nobody grabbed by my neck. and a few miles before me, and then start talking, and I asked him for autograph.
Right. Did you thank him for recognizing us?
Oh, of course he did. He knows more. He knows.
He knows. Yes. Now, with your involvement in the Cambridge community, you had a lot of honors, and you were the Grand Marshal for the Canada Day Parade at the Canada
Correct.
Day Parade in
Yes.
Cambridge.
Correct.
Yes. Tell us about how that felt.
Well, again, it's one of those words I cannot express. I mean, I feel very honored, humble in one way. You're reflecting back. I'm dreaming. You know, from back home I told you about, I used to steal from survival. And then, Marshall? Come on, man, I can explain that.
So you were honored.
Yeah, yes, I don't know.
You were honored, and that was in 2008, correct?
Yes, the date's there, yeah.
Yes, 2008. And Danny, you have been given many awards as well for your, many other awards for your volunteerism and for your, and for your, spirit of giving. You've given a lot to the community. We have some medals here that we're going to show as well. What has been motivating you, Danny, for you
Before
to
that,
be so involved?
to answer the question, it was not me. Our Creator gives a gift to every one of us. So it's not me. I've been, you may say, instrument in God's hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's not me. Yes.
And here we have, it's the Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II Golden Jubilee Medal. And you received that medal. It's a beautiful momentum in November 2002.
Yes.
Now, do you know who nominated you, Danny, and how it came about?
That's a good, interesting question. You deserve answer. So one of my customers also, he was a recipient, Lil, that I know. I received this letter, and I said, Bill Barber is name. I don't mind to tell you, it's a good cause.
Yes.
Anyway, you don't have to quote the name if you don't want to. So, and I said, what's this letter? He says, oh, this is funny. He says, I got one too. That's what it's all about. I had no clue. So, no, I don't know.
So you were nominated, obviously, by people in Cambridge who
Yes,
felt that
obvious,
you
very
really
obvious,
deserved
correct,
to
yeah.
be
Yes,
a
yes.
receiver
Well,
of the Queen Jubilee.
surprise, yeah.
That's wonderful. And then we have another honor here, a more recent one, from it's the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal.
Yes.
And that was presented to you on August the 18th, 2012. Yes, tell us about that one.
The answer is the same.
Yes.
Suppose I give you one answer to the first one.
Right. And
I cannot explain, I don't know.
well, the people in Cambridge
Yes, of course. Well, I thank all Cambridge. Well, I thank all Cambridge for that.
Yes,
That's what you want to know.
and what they have, when they have nominated you, they've said that you're affectionately known as Danny the Barber,
Yes.
and you came to Canada from Macedonia in
Yes, correct.
1956.
Yes.
You're a well-known businessman and proud Canadian. Danny promotes Canada to everyone he meets, and he's a true ambassador. He's very supportive of local causes, like we discussed, raising money for numerous organizations, including Cambridge Memorial Hospital and the Cambridge Self-Help Food Bank.
Correct.
Danny believes in providing opportunities for others to succeed.
Fine, yes.
Yes, and Danny, I know you were young when your father died, but you took your father as a real example. Can you tell us a little bit about his philosophy?
It's an honor to say. I remember a little what I remember that during the wartime there was a very depression, the family you may call it, there was people starving. And my father, of course, he was able to provide us well at the time. And Wales have a lot of grain and the basic food. And he'll come home and he'll take, even if one loaf of bread, he'll take half of it to give it to the people who had nothing. And then, of course, the mother being conservative-minded, says, so we only have one loaf. He says, that's okay. You have a flour, you can make more bread tomorrow. Right now, somebody's starving. Well, no doubt about that. That's an example. Sure, no doubt.
And that is an example you took in your heart.
Well, Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. And right next to you there is another wonderful award on the table.
Oh, yes.
Can tell us about that one.
This is
This is from Ontario, UK.
20 years, yeah. Well, again, this is outstanding award for 20 years service in charities.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the Outstanding Achievement
Yeah.
Award for volunteering in Ontario.
Yeah.
And you received it in 2006 by the Ontario
Yes.
provincial government.
Yes,
It's a
correct.
wonderful award as well for your volunteering activities. And one more over there in the nice blue box.
Oh,
You can
yes.
show us that one.
Oh, yes. This is from a Rotary Fellowship organization.
Yes.
Charity people too. And what happened, the little that I know, I received the invitation and I went there and represent me this. And also they give me a one in plaque, and somebody saw that. He says, you know what that means? He says, if you apply for a job, somebody explained to me this way. If you apply for a job and you, all you have to do is say you're a recipient of this Rotary Club.
Yes.
And fellowship recipient. And that's all I need to say, it says. That's quite an honor for them to.
That
yes.
says it all, right?
Yeah, that's right. Now? Okay.
Now, Danny, I know that there are many articles written about your
Yes.
your volunteering and your good works for the community. I have this one article from the Citizen, the Cambridge Citizen, and there are many other articles. In fact, I know that there are clippings of a whole book with articles that you have written and articles that people have written about the different causes that you have contributed to. But I also know that you love poetry.
Yes.
And I actually saw one of your poems in a poetry book that I have here from the literary group Brajka Miladinovci from Toronto.
Yeah.
And I understand you were a member,
Yes.
and some of your poems are in the books.
Yes.
And also, so there are a number of books that contain your poetries.
Yes.
And I wanted you to tell us about your love for poetry. How did that develop, and when did you first start writing poetry?
Wow, that's a good. First of all, I cannot go far because a lot of things are written I didn't pay attention. Until one time, one of my youngest daughter, she gave me a little booklet, and so make me conscious about, and I started writing. As for Macedonia, my love was when I became aware how hard our people have been pressed over the centuries, and even now I feel emotionally. And then I wrote some poems, and most of the times, and I will say, before I go even to bed, to sleep, I say, what shall I write for Macedonia? It can be, that will come in even a form of a poetry, or come in a poem on article to the newspaper, letters, and so on. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And Danny, I know that you received you received poetry awards.
Yes.
And in fact, here's a nice picture of you from a newspaper,
Yeah.
indicating that you won an award.
Yes.
And one of your poems is "Love."
Yes.
Love. Can you tell us about that poem? What inspired you to write that poem?
Well, actually, that's the truth, but I wrote that poem too. But what I really like to share was the one I wrote about Macedonia.
Yes.
And the reason I say I want to share that particularly more meaningful, because that's how I recite also in Washington, D.C. at the time. And also, it's written in a big scroll.
Scroll.
I've written in that poem and I left it there. Not only me, all other, it was a few thousand poets.
And so this was a poetry
Washington.
event in Washington?
Yes, correct.
And
That's
you
what I was
won
there. Yes.
an award
Oh, yes,
for
correct.
your
Correct.
for your poem
And-
Macedonia.
Yes, yes.
Now we actually have a copy here. Perhaps you can read it to us about Macedonia, the poem.
Why not? Why not? Why not? But, okay, very well done. Macedonia, the sound of your name rings in my heart, in my ears, like a music which I cannot forget. You might be far away from me, but your beauty lives in my mind forever. The sound of your name wakens my soul and brings me a great joy in my heart.
Thank you.
The one I recite in Washington was unique too.
Was that about Macedonia as well?
I say, Macedonia, oh Macedonia, what they think they're not existing. They do not know we are here too, and then they do not know that God made all of us as a place. And then as a stream of, as a deer longs for a stream of cool water, so I long for you, Macedonia. Only can I come to see the beauty, to drink the water resin. But they do not know, they say there is no Macedonians. Oh, how can they say, how can be so cruel? They do not know the Lord God makes nothing without purpose. Long live Macedonia.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Danny. So these are, as we showed in the picture, you received the International Poets Society Editor's Choice Award, and you also received the Bernice Adams Award for Literary Arts in 2006. Yes. So your love for poetry is definitely something that you've been developing and writing about, and have poetries written in many books. Now I understand that something exciting is going to happen in just a short time, and that is a biography is going to come out for yourself, written by a person from a writer from Cambridge, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit
Sure.
about how
it's
the
my
idea
honor, first
came
of
about
all.
the book?
I'd like to introduce her, Camilla Chalabres. She's my ambassador. Yes, she's another miracle girl. That was it. You know,
Is it my turn to sit?
that's it. That's it. She'll tell you. Okay, go ask me questions. Go ahead, ask her.
Okay,
She'll tell
Shelley,
you. She'll tell you
welcome.
better.
Thank you.
And tell us how you met Danny and how you came about working together with him and writing a biography for him.
I write a small column for the Cambridge Citizen, and it's called The Golden Years. And my column led me to meet this wonderful gentleman. As I was walking down the streets of Cambridge, I noticed a sandwich board with a caricature of Danny, the barber, doing his stuff. And I wondered who this interesting person might be. And I opened up the door, and all these pictures flapped on the walls. And I thought, well, I've got to know who this person is. And my publisher at the Citizen knows him very well. So we were introduced. And
who is he?
Scott Ferguson is the publisher of the Citizen. Introduced us, and we had a lunch, and the rest is history, as we like to say. We went on a wonderful journey together.
And when did you meet together?
That was 2011, right?
Okay.
No, 12, 13, 14, 15. No, that was 2000 and it's 14. 2000, it took me 2 years to write, so.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we met in 2011, and then the book took 2 years to write, that's right.
So how did the idea come for the book?
Danny asked. He saw the article and he liked it, and I guess that some people had said to him, you know, you do have quite an extensive and interesting story. Maybe it would be a good idea for you to have it written down. So Danny asked whether or not I would do that, and I did.
And in collecting the materials and working with Danny, what are some impressions that you have of him?
He is an extraordinary man, and like you say, he is very humble. But he also, if he has something that he needs to say or wants to get it out there, he has no qualms about saying it. And I think that that's just a God-given gift. I think it's also from his dad, passed down a little bit. That he has a charm and a way of saying things and wanting to help that's engaging and makes people want to engage with him, and people just jump on board. So.
And tell us about the book, what kind of format it's going to be, and when you expect that it'll be coming out.
It's a biography. We're self-publishing. We're not having it done by a publisher right yet, but we expect it to be printed in about 3 weeks. And we're going to have a small book launch just for the community of Cambridge and for Danny's family and people who were interested. Yeah.
And I know that you did a lot of research and spent a lot of time with Danny, and I understand that there was a lot to read and learn about Danny. Can you tell us a little about?
Absolutely. You know, he is such an interesting man, and he had a lot to say. And I think that there was one reporter who even said that a week didn't go by that Danny didn't write something for one of the newspapers, the local newspapers, to either promote Macedonia or to promote Canada and the love of both, but to make sure that the freedom that he enjoyed here was something that the people of his homeland, his brothers and sisters, could also share someday. You know, and so he wrote a lot of wonderful articles regarding that, and became quite popular through that.
So Danny, tell us a little about your motivation. What motivated you to give of your time and resources to writing and getting involved in, let's say, first the Macedonian cause?
First of all, I believe in to do the right thing when you see somebody needs help and if something is wrong, to speak up. Then is my life story I was sharing at the time, and I was telling younger immigrants here, and I say not to be discouraged. Canada, the biggest gift can give you is a freedom. And all things, then I began to tell my story. And many over the times, a lot of people have told me I should write a book. I says, I don't know how to write. I can, even the most article there you see, I had to I do the talking, but they are doing the typing and all that for me. I live it. And then at that time, I says, when I was sharing this so many times, people told me over the years, I met very fine people, which is, I don't consider as customers, I consider them as a friends. They help in a many way to pay my way, you know. It's hard to express the welcome I had felt from people in the whole Cambridge, you know what I mean? And from there on, so many of them, they told me to write a book. And I said, you write a book. No, he said, I'm busy. I said, you write a book. And it was my blessing lady here. She come along, I says, I need you, so to speak.
I said, yes, yeah.
Then the beginner says, I don't know. He says, because every time is different. And he says, I don't know how long it'll take, we'll all together on the journey. She gave me that encouragement, she didn't discourage me. She didn't give up on me, so I didn't give up on her, so here we are together.
Well, that's great. And in the meantime, Danny, you're also very involved with your family.
Yes, definitely.
Tell us about your children, how many children you have, and
sure.
their names.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. The children. Of course, I told you about my wife Neiman, right?
Yes,
Nikki.
and the way you
met.
met.
The oldest, first was the daughter is Fanny, Robert, and Greg, and Nicola, and Jeff, Constantine. Yeah, or Dino. And what else do you want to know?
And then I understand that you now have many grandchildren?
Oh yes, grandchildren, very well. We have 10 grandchildren, and 5 times 2 makes 10.
Yes.
So there you are. We have our granddaughters and grandboys.
Right. And in terms of, Danny, continuing your activities, I understand that your fundraising hasn't stopped. You're going to have another
as long
event.
as God gives me breath and life and feet to stand, it won't stop. Charity stop, I stop.
Tell us
I
about
stop, charity stop.
what is your next one? It's going to be
next
soon?
one. Very good question. I'm going to plan to sponsor an essay this time. Have different essays. That's over time, yeah.
You're also going to be doing a clip-a-thon on a very special day.
Well, that was, that's I thought she knows that.
Yeah.
Yes, you did mention
but
that.
they don't.
Yeah.
All right. And, I told you very much. Anyway, in the 5th March. Celebrating 80 years of age, and proceeds going to be all for a food bank.
Happy birthday! That's
Thank
a
you.
wonderful way
and
to
furthermore,
celebrate.
since she called me generous, but she's generous. If there's any profit from the book, well, she give it to charity. She her favorite charity, mine. Then, if we find one mutual, we'll share.
Okay.
We'll help each other.
That's great. And so what are some things that you're proud of? I know that there are many things that you're proud of, Danny, but if you could summarize one or two things that you're proud of with your life here in Canada, what would you say?
I have a problem with the word proud. I have to digest that, how to address it. Grateful for life God blessed me to live, for my family and friends I meet on my way out. I'm just grateful to be alive.
Absolutely. And Danny, you know that you are an example. I know you're very modest, but you're definitely an example and an inspiration, to many immigrants, because you've had great success and you built a meaningful life here in Canada. What advice do you have, Danny, for the younger generations for living in Canada and being successful citizens?
You have to have somehow, some way, to form some desire what they really have to do. They have to do some soul searching. For the meantime, that might take a little time to come, but it doesn't mean you don't have to be engaged in a society. Even if you have a work, you don't need it, it's not your baby, because it might come later. That the work you do now be not reason, you might make a situation to force you to advance yourself. So be active, be interesting, and you can still come. It's still come. Take a patient.
Be patient,
Yeah.
yes, and with your
no good deed goes waste, and no labor goes in vain.
Danny, you've been involved in volunteering work both for the Cambridge Canadian community, Macedonian community for a long time. Do you have any advice for the young Macedonian parents of how they can share and encourage their Macedonian heritage with their children?
The best example is a parent. So I do not know the life of a parent. I need to, if I feel somebody young man talk to me, and if I don't know anything about a parent, I cannot comment be careful how you say it.
So you feel parents are a big example?
Absolutely, yes.
Be an example of the type of
Absolutely, yeah.
citizens they want their kids to
Yes,
be.
that's right.
And what would you say are some of your really strong beliefs, Danny? I mean, you're still working, right? You're going to be 80 years old and you're working in your shop?
Now, the work not only makes you earn you whatever, money, whatever you work, but also keeps alive. In other words, be active in any age, mentally and physically. In any age. And you should be able to find, if you can stand up and dress yourself, you should be able to find something to do. But has to willing to do that, so I don't know. Time people tell me, when you're going to stop working? I say, what for? You know what I mean? What for? Because they're young people, they'll talk to young people like that. I say, you realize, they're dreaming, they're not even started working yet, they're dreaming retirement. I says, you know what? Every time you work, you get better for your system, your body, exercise yourself, and mentally. In other words, conclusion is the body and the mind must be exercised accordingly to your age at all times. That's all.
That's right. And you mentioned that you have that your children are married,
Yes.
right? Have any of them married with Macedonians?
Yes, one of our daughter married Macedonian, yes. Yes.
И што сакаш да кажеш на наши сега, на сите што ја слушат, го слушат ова видео? Што сакаш да му кажеш на нашите луѓе?
Да имат милост во срцето и да мислат да направат добро за комшиите за кои можат.
Тоа е тоа тебе што ти лежи во срцето.
That's right. That's right.
И гледаме дека тоа те прави среќен, имаш убава насмевка и фала, сполајти многу што дојде тука во нашето
Благодарам на вас многу и на
Macedonian
сати
Historical Society.
до вас, да.
And thank you, Shelley, also for joining us. And we look forward to the book that will be coming out quite.
We hope it's going to be printed in about 3 weeks.
That's excellent. And where can people get a copy if they would like one?
Danny's Barber Shop, absolutely. We're going to try and actually see whether or not we can get it on some bookshelves in our local stores.
So definitely.
And the library, the local library. And,
in Cambridge.
Yep. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you too.
And many more fundraising clipathons
Thank you
in your
very much.
barbershop, Danny.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, ready? The fact is, of course, $50 is still not much, but it's token of this effort and appreciation that I receive a flag back. Well, second limit, go this way. That's right. Shoot.
Year. A unique event in Cambridge today marking Macedonian independence. Danny Katsorov, a well-known Cambridge barber, released a balloon into the air with the Macedonian flag attached. He hosts a party every April 8th, the day Macedonia received UN recognition. Find the balloon and return it to the Wellington barber shop and you'll receive a $50 prize. There's some flag waving going on in Brantford.
We'll be riding the bus with those people to Montreal. Tomorrow's massive rally is an 11th hour emotional plea from the rest of Canada to get Quebecers to say no to separation. And many other Canadians are finding unique ways to do that. CKCO's Art Beaumonk is with our live eye with more on that. Art?
Well, Mike, we're standing in front of Waterloo City Hall, and around midnight tonight, the buses will start pulling up here to pick up hundreds of people and take them to Montreal. But if you can't make that bus trip, there's a man in Cambridge who has another way to reach out and touch Quebecers.
This Cambridge barber has launched his own unity campaign. Done Katsorov is offering people in Cambridge free phone calls to friends and family in Quebec. So if you can't take the time tomorrow to go to Montreal, Done says calling is the next best thing. He came to Canada from Macedonia in 1956, and he says he doesn't want this country to break up like his homeland did.
I came from a country that's been divided by Greece, and therefore it's when you divide a country, it's very painful. It's something you never overcome. It'll never be the same. So it's very small price, and I feel as a token for me to say thank you for this country be accepting me here.
Done says the offer stands until Monday, and it's an open invitation. Anyone can come in and use his phone and employ some tactics of persuasion. He's hoping the no side is victorious in the Quebec referendum.
You know, there's a lot of people that feel the way that Done does and are asking people to make that phone call to family and friends in Quebec. But there's so many things to consider, whether all these phone calls and all these bus trips, will they really make a big difference? People are hoping they are, and the final outcome in a referendum that right now is still very close.
July 1st is only moments away, but some people just can't wait to get the party started. In Cambridge today, the owner of Danny's barber shop was flying his Canadian flag high and proud. Danny immigrated to Canada from Macedonia 40 years ago and feels he owes this country a debt of gratitude.
It is a way of me saying thank you for accepting me this country. It's a small token, and I like to also remember this country is the best country in the world.
Some of Danny's friends also dropped by to join in the celebrations and will likely join the rest of us tomorrow as well. Self-Help Food Bank of Cambridge. Well-known Cambridge barber Danny Katsorov is cutting away in his shop on Wellington Street. Again this year, he's turning over the proceeds of a day's business to help the food bank keep its shelves stocked. And later, the organization got another big gift, a van from MacArthur Transport. It'll be very useful for picking up donations and keeping the flow of food rolling in.
Silvers.
In studio now is Danny the Barber Katsorov from Cambridge. And Danny, thank you very much for being here with me tonight.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, and now you're Danny the Barber. Are you in fact a barber?
Yes, I am.
You are in Cambridge.
Yes.
Would you like to plug your shop?
Welcome. My barber shop is 1350 North in Cambridge.
Okay, and you've been there how long?
About Cambridge 25 years.
25 years,
Yes.
That's excellent. Now, the reason that you're here tonight is not to cut my hair, in fact, but, which actually I could probably use a trim, we'll talk after the show. But you are here tonight to talk about something else that you've got going on right now. You have got a bus trip planned for next week.
Yes.
To go to Queen's Park.
Yes.
To talk about Cambridge Memorial Hospital.
Correct.
How did you come, how did you come to wanting to do this, to wanting to take on this political issue? How did this come about?
Very well. First of all, started on Mr. McGinty's government changed the decision for supporting the hospital, which is the fund was being already approved. So at that moment, I felt compelled. This country we have the freedom to express ourselves.
Yeah.
So this is one of the options I choose, to hire a bus for Queen's Park and to let them know the decisions they make. We watch them, and then when they're not happy, we're to raise our voices and to let them know we watch them. After all, we give them the power by electing them to be the governors.
Well, Ned, I just want to say we have discussed this topic. Actually, we've done a number of interviews on this particular subject here on Tracy Hemphill Live, but just as a little update, a recap, we are, of course, talking about the fact that a previous provincial government had promised $42 million
Correct.
to Cambridge Memorial Hospital for actually a $70 million expansion and some retrofitting and some repairs, basically, on the hospital.
Correct.
And just in September, as you said, Premier McGinty said, nope, no explanation,
That's correct.
just we're not going to do that.
And that's why we're not happy about this kind of decision setting about over 100,000 people in our area and plus in the Waterloo area. So I don't see the reason why, when we have a good specialist and they do a good job, and this is only going to delay it, and it's going to be harder for the patients and the people that have to take the service out of the city.
Well, and the situation is rather, well, it's very bad at Cambridge Memorial right now. I don't know if you saw the article in the Record today, but in fact they were talking about, for example, 2 weeks ago when we had a lot of rain a couple of weeks ago, the hospital actually had to put buckets out throughout the hospital because the rain, they had such problems with leaking. They actually had to close down, I think it was a third or two-thirds of the intensive care unit of the hospital because the roof was leaking. So this is not, we're not talking about, they want to add some unnecessary addition to the hospital. They have some very serious needs at this hospital that this money would make great strides towards.
Very well. This money not only will help with that situation, but also improve in general the whole image of the hospital and people to be able to give a better service. And this is one of the reasons we need to raise our voice and go to Mr. McGinty and tell him we're not happy with the decision they made. And it's very obvious the need, just like you said before, the roof leakings and other many things that are in need right now. Right. We did need money very definitely.
Now, is your interest in the hospital just simply from being a longtime Cambridge resident, or do you have specific somebody that in your family that was sick and was cared well for at Cambridge Memorial, or yourself, or is it just simply from being a longtime Cambridge resident?
Yes, that's correct. We've been very helpful to the Cambridge, but also they've been very helpful to us too over the years. So the hospital is a place everybody benefits. This shouldn't be playing politics with the hospital.
That's a very good point. It's hospital politics, although it is a very political subject.
The hospital doesn't know politics.
But it is, unfortunately, in our society.
That's what I try to make our point. It should not be. Decisions should be made on the principles and the need to the area. In this case, we need it.
So here's what you're doing. It's December 7th, and that is that Monday? Is that next Monday?
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday,
Yes.
sorry. But on next Wednesday, you have actually rented a bus,
Yes.
which you are paying for yourself. You're not asking for money for this.
No, no.
You're simply
Yes.
inviting like-minded
Yes.
residents of the area
Absolutely right.
to sign up to go on the bus with you
Correct.
and head down to
Yes.
Queen's Park. And I want to point out, too, that you are referring to it as, is it a peaceful protest? Not even
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, peaceful, yes.
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 You are going to, you have a petition? Or?
Yes, we handle the petition, yes, we carry the petition with us. And we just simply let them know exactly what I just said here. Mr. McGinty, our hospital, they really need this money now. This is very situation, it's a dire situation. And I don't know why it's delaying.
No, well, we haven't had a lot of answers, so I hope that you can get some. You have actually sent a letter to somebody at Queen's Park to let them know that you're
correct.
coming. Have you heard back from them at all?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. But you're certainly letting them know that you're going. You're not planning to cause any problems down there. You just want to be heard.
Just to stress the issue, the money is very important to our area.
Yeah, and so far you have 45 people signed up to
No,
go.
50, over 50.
Over 50
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
But now, as I understand it, you can only get 55 people on the bus.
Yes, correct, yeah.
What are you going to do if you get more than 55 people?
More than better, and we get another bus.
You get another bus? You
Yes.
will do that? You will
Yes.
get another bus?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay,
And,
and when we're finished here, we'll make sure that we get out the phone number so people
Sure,
can
sure.
contact you.
The Canadian bus company been very well supported to this.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It sounds like it's going to be a
And,
good day.
They still offers to drivers free, so
Really?
that helps, yeah.
What's the bus company again?
Canadian line. Yeah.
Canadian Line?
Coach,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Canadian Coach?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, and they're offering drivers
Yes.
for free, and if you need the second bus, you're going to
Yes.
get that, so that's good news too. So if there's anybody out there who's thinking that you might like to go along, I will give you the phone number to contact Annie as soon as we're finished chatting here so that you can, and hopefully we'll get a couple of buses going
Yeah,
out there. That'd
thank
be
you.
great. And I think it's also worth pointing out too, you're not the only person who's working at this, obviously. There is the Mayor's Task Force.
That's correct.
And they did come forward over the last few days just to make sure that people understood that your trip was separate from a trip that they're also planning.
That's right, that's right.
But they're, they have nothing, they have no problem with you going down, but they just wanted to say that they have petitions, about 6,000 people so far.
Yes.
How many do you have on
Actually,
yours?
I turned to Mr. Martinic, so I have to get them back. I didn't count them all. What's 7?
Oh, okay. Well, Mr. Martinick has
Yes, he's gonna
about
meet us, yeah. He's
6,000.
going to join us, yeah.
He's going with you?
Yes.
Excellent.
He's going to meet us there.
Oh, he's going to meet you there. Of
Yeah.
course, he's already there. Yes.
he's there.
And he's got about 6,000 names, so that's okay. Good. And yeah, the task force has petitions with about 6,000 names
Yes.
as well. And you have a speech prepared when you get down there
Yes,
for
ma'am.
whoever will be standing there
That's
listening
right.
to you.
Yes, yes.
What about media? Have you contacted aside from local media here?
Oh, yes, we have a Cambridge Times. They said they're going to follow the story.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. You're going to bring somebody. You can bring
You're
somebody on
welcome
the
to.
bus with you.
Yes, you're welcome too.
If I can get the day off work, I'll come with you, no
Okay.
problem. But I don't think I can. So, but definitely we'll get in touch
Yeah,
with you.
that's great.
Do you have a cell phone? Maybe I'll give you a call while you're down there and see how
No,
things are
I
going.
don't have cell phone.
Oh, well, we'll somebody on that bus will have a cell phone,
for
and
sure.
I'll give you
Yes.
my number, and you have somebody from that bus
Okay.
call me.
Thank you.
When you're down there.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So first things first, let's make sure that anybody who is interested in going with you and getting the word out about the hospital and hopefully convincing the government to at least start to think about changing their
Yes,
minds.
That's our goal, yes.
The number that you could be reached at is 623-2720, and we'll put that on our website too,
Correct.
so that anybody who
Yes.
wants to
Thank you.
can link up with the website.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that I've missed that you want to get out here before?
Very well done.
Okay, you got all the information you
Yes,
need out there.
yes.
Again, I wish you luck. December 7th, next Wednesday,
Yes.
at least one bus heading down to Queen's Park
That's correct, yes.
with a busload of people going down to say, hey,
Yes.
let's not
That's right,
ignore
yes.
our hospital.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Danny,
too.
for being here, and thank you for the work that you're doing for the hospital. It's all the time that we have for this segment of the show. But remember, you, of course, can always continue the discussion at the
Queen's Park by a bus full of Cambridge Memorial Hospital supporters. Danny the Barber from Cambridge organized and paid for the trip. Many are hoping the community pressure will change the McGuinty government's mind to not fund the final phase of construction at Memorial Hospital.
We worked hard to save that money to have the renovation, and now they've gone back on the promise.
This area is growing and it needs support for its hospital as it was previously promised, and so far this here refusal is absolutely ridiculous.
Raise our voices to let them know we're disappointed, and not only division but collectively representing the city of Cambridge. Raise our voices. What they did was not right, to not approval.
The group of close to 30 protested on the steps of Queen's Park. They were joined by Cambridge MPP Jerry Martiniak.